there's not necessarily a cookie cutter conversation, but part of the mindset of the conversation is, hey, what do we have in common? I love fitness, you love fitness, and then how can I serve you? Hey, do you guys ever do, a lot of times I would probably ask this, do you guys ever do nutrition workshops here, or do you guys incorporate nutrition in what you do? Well, we kind of do. We talk about doing the paleo diet. I think that's great. I actually have taught workshops on the paleo diet in the past, and I know CrossFitters like the paleo diet, so I'm going to give them a paleo diet gift pack. Foods that I know he likes, and so you're going to find that out over time. And so like the gym I talked at last night, that we were doing already a talk around a nutritional company that I work with. But again, I know he follows paleo. I'm going to get him a paleo food pack, something that would add value to him. And maybe without him even, most of the time they're not expecting it, they're not realizing when they do it, but next time I stop by, hey, I love paleo, there's this great paleo company that I work with, hey, here's a gift basket, enjoy. And sometimes I don't even say, hey, sometimes I just leave it there and leave my card and that's it, and maybe I'll pop in a month later. But again, it's really those two things that, hey, let's connect, what do we have the connection on, and finding out that question, how can I add value to you, do you have a health thing, is there something I can do to serve you, and that's probably how that would look. So, other questions? Yes?
How would a radio show look like? Because you would take questions on the radio show, right?
Great question. So it depends on your station. Now when I started off at a real small Christian station in Nashville, and I did a 30-minute show. And so I just talked. And you want to create your outline. I wrote out my intro, I wrote out my exit as well. Or else you're like bumbling around and don't know what you're saying. And if you have even if it's just a 15-second promo that you say every time, it sounds professional. And so you want to have, mine is, hey, this is Dr. Rax, welcome to Maximize Your Health. I'm your, and so I'll go through, and you want to have that, I heard Dave Ramsey, and so he talks about cash is king and debt is dumb, and the paid off home mortgage is taking the place of your BMW. So that's his quote. So I say, Dave was my model, and so I say, I should remember this because I've said it 1,000 times, but where fat is shed, disease is dead, and where you can join a health revolution. And so, but find someone on the radio that's already doing what you want to do, and again, don't mock them completely, but have something. You just have that short intro that you have, and then what are you going to talk about? So if you're on a smaller station, you're only going to get calls typically if you're on the largest talk station in the area. Most of you guys, after you get a little experience, you guys will be able to do that. That's not like only a superhuman can get on the largest station. I mean, most of you guys can get on there for a weekend time slot. But I would write out an outline. So when I started, I had my intro that I said every time already scripted out that I would look at when I'm doing it. And then I would have an article. Let's say it's an hour-long radio show. I would have 3 articles I would discuss. I would write out 3 Facebook questions or random questions that I got asked sometime in my life maybe, but weren't there. Like, John asked me today, how do I reduce cholesterol? Or Barbara says, I've got low back pain. What should I do about that? And then I would have a recipe at the end. That's still just to let you know, my outline today, still, if I'm not doing a live show, is article, 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 and then after every article, Facebook question, Facebook question, Facebook question, close with a recipe, and then my outro. Okay, so just have your outline there and of what you're going to do. Websites I get my content off of: my personal website, Mercola.com, naturalnews.com, Rodale.com, Shape Magazine, Women's Fitness RX. There's a Nourished Kitchen. There's a lot of good sites you can go to and kind of go through. And so I just pull my articles off there and say, hey, you can find this article on naturalnews.com. Let's talk about the top 7 detoxifying herbs for your liver. Let's talk about milk thistle today. And I'll go through, and basically I will not read the article verbatim, but before I do my show, you got to spend about an hour prep time. Okay, so an hour before your show, you get your content, and then I cut out a lot of the fluff and kind of maybe hit the bullet points. And then I'll do my own rant at the end. So if I read an article about diabetes, I'll say, this is an article on diabetes, and I'll go through some of it and I'll say, let me give you my take. And sometimes I'll post articles I don't agree with. So I'll go to like MSNBC or Yahoo, and they'll say, the flu vaccine has helped save, or all these people aren't getting the whooping cough. I did that here recently, where they talked about the whooping cough, and this article was absolutely ridiculous. So I went through the article. In fact, I'm going to start doing a series for me, because my last name is Axe. I'm going to do the chopping block with Dr. Axe and go through health myths. And that'll be part of my show, So you can figure out something unique. Again, I do, maybe it's a recipe, maybe it's a fitness move, I don't know, but something that you just got to create your outline and then do it a few times. And then what I did at first when I wanted to get on the bigger station is I created a demo. So I recorded myself, and because I knew I would be able to take calls on this one, I had my sister call in, my dad. My dad sounded ridiculous, and I was almost cracking up laughing the whole time. But anyways, you can have them call in. And here's the other great thing. You can create your own home radio studio so easy today. It is not expensive. In fact, if you have a computer right now, you can probably record it. If you have a Mac and you have GarageBand, you can go get a mic for, actually they've got a good, if you go on Amazon.com, what is the mic? I think it's just Microsoft. But it plugs in to your USB port, and then you just have a headset right there. You got your microphone, you got your headset. You can get this sort of stuff $50 to $100 for something that really creates good sound quality. And you can, just to give you another tip, if you want to create, you don't want to sound like you're in a box if you're doing your home radio show. You just go and buy foam at, like the egg crates, the foam that you buy at to put on a bed. You know what I'm talking about? Like the just cheap foam. You just put that on the wall in the corner where you're doing your radio show, and that absorbs the noise. If you can go on Amazon.com and get one that's thicker, like a 3 to 4 inch thick, you just put that on the wall. You just have your computer there, have your mic band, you've got your own home radio studio. And again, if you've got a Mac, you've got GarageBand, which is a really, really good quality. And then with Microsoft, I'm not sure what program they have, but they've probably got something pretty comparable to that you can use as well. And just to let you know, you don't have to. There are no rules. I do an hour-long radio show, but if right now you're like, I want to do a radio show, but I want to do a 3-minute segment, what I'm going to actually start doing on my blog here pretty soon is we'll just do the chopping block segment, and it'll be a 3-minute segment I do every week, and I can do a 3-minute segment. You don't have to be on a station to do a radio show. You can get on Blog Talk Radio. A lot of this stuff over time is going to be moving to the internet. Not to say I wouldn't go do a station, because if it's a gift, absolutely. Get out there and do it. But again, you can do a radio show now and post it online. There are no rules. You can post it on your blog. So it's this stuff is easier than ever before. You just have to have a little bit of initiative, go out and get this stuff set up, and you can can create some really good quality stuff. Like now, I do my radio show at home. So I don't even go in the studio. Rush Limbaugh, I didn't do a show yet. Almost none of these people. Rush Limbaugh, he does a show from West Palm, actually, down the road from us, West Palm Beach, Florida. Everybody thinks he's in New York. He's not. Dave Ramsey half the year does his radio show from his lake house in in South Tennessee. It's just, you can do it anywhere. Other questions? Whether it's about nutrition or online stuff or yes.
The Whole Foods stock, do you do it walking around the Whole Foods, or do you stand and find a room?
Yeah, I walk around, and by the end of the time I was doing it, we'd have 50 people, okay. And I would be screaming. Actually, of all the talks I've ever done, I would lose my voice more doing the Whole Foods talk than ever before. It's crazy, but it's so what I would do is what I would do before you do this is write down what are some of the main shopping points you want to do. So I want to go through the grass-fed beef section and talk about omega-3s. I want to go through the cookie and cracker section and really hammer that these animal crackers are healthy. I don't care if they're Whole Foods. I'll go through the produce. So I would just kind of plan that out. What are my top points? Before you do it, make yourself one walkthrough, going up through Whole Foods. By the way, this can take, I've done 2-hour shopping tours before because you could talk forever in there. But most of the time it was about an hour long. And I would do it a couple ways. After a while, what I started doing was I would do the shopping tour, then we would go upstairs to where their community room was. And then sometimes I would maybe do a Q&A or go through more there, or go through a recipe. Like, hey, we went through all this, but that's the other thing to do is I'll apply it to recipes. So I will hand out with the shopping tour a recipe list. I have an antioxidant trail mix, salmon patties, grass-fed, cheddar burgers. And so I would go through the aisle and say, hey, in that antioxidant trail mix, here are the exact dark chocolate chips you want to get in this, the 70%. Here's this, so something like that.
Would you like allow people to jump in, like people who are
Oh, they
shopping?
did.
They did.
They would. It was all. I mean, that's what it was a great tool. People would start asking, "Who is that giving the shopping tour?" Oh yeah. I mean, it was really positive. And, you know, this was an easy thing for other moms to invite their friends to. I had so many young moms coming, and they would come in as patients afterwards because I would take the time to do the shopping tour, and then I would say, "Does anybody have any questions?" And also say, "Hey, for anybody who came today, you know, we're going to open it up and do, you know, free family evaluation." It just depends on the legality in your state, you know.
Right.
But whatever you can, maybe some sort of offer for people to come in. A lot of them would. So,
Great.
yeah. Yes.
What do you think about having visuals in a presentation? Too many visuals? Because the question comes because I'm listening to you and I'm paying attention. Usually in class I don't do that. So, and that's because they are clicking through the PowerPoints and it makes it very boring.
Oh yeah.
So I notice you have your background there, but you don't have like an interactive presentation. You're just talking. And it made it more engaging. I don't know if you don't believe in it.
Oh, well, great question. By the way, you just convicted me with that because I go back and forth. It's like, I'm like, man, I created this awesome PowerPoint presentation. Honestly, most of the time it does. You are always more powerful using either no PowerPoint or just a few slides without words.
Okay.
And so even when I started doing my nutrition nerve system talks, I had like 5 slides. I had my main slide, I had change your fat. So I had a picture of hydrogenated French fries being fried, and then I had a picture of, you know, almonds, coconut, and, you know, and wild salmon. And then I had one more slide on the carbs, one more slide on the protein, and then I'd have one picture on the nerve system. And that was it. So, you know, that's a great point for everybody to get. I mean, you don't need to create this massive slide presentation. You're better just a few pictures and you really speaking. That's a great point.
Cool.
You're right. Yeah. Other questions?
I also
Yes.
hear making sure you don't rely on the presentation too, like actually know your
Oh,
stuff.
yeah. Well, that's true. I mean, you can get to the point to where you are, relying on it, and that is the danger. And that's why you don't want to put words or a lot of words on your PowerPoint because you get in the. I mean, it just naturally happens. You get in the phase where you have to read off of it. It's definitely not what you want.
And also because you keep talking, and I say this because I'm working on my chiropractic presentation. I have like 42 slides now, and if I time it, I'm going to be like 45 minutes doing that, and I don't want to be as long. But also because if the person is reading while you're talking, they may be missing an important point that you want to bring to the table, and they're just reading or getting distracted with pictures.
You know what? Here's something else. Pictures are powerful, and testimonials are powerful too. So if you are ever going to put words up on the slide, it should be somebody's quote that is a testimonial. So just to give you an example, if I were going to do a chiropractic presentation today, I've never used a PowerPoint before. I've seen a lot of doctors that do, and some that are really effective. But you know, I would probably have, I think ideally, a doctor's report or a report of findings is 40 minutes. I mean, there are even a lot of studies showing you can really captivate someone's attention if you're a good speaker for 40 minutes. If you're a great speaker, it's longer. But if you're not a good speaker, it's a lot less than that. But again, really trying to get around that 40-minute mark is probably a good time zone by having a maximum of 10 slides. I mean, you want to go through a maximum. The other thing, this is radio, but in radio, people have an attention span of 3 minutes. Now, I break this rule, so I shouldn't be talking about this, but they really say that if you are talking about most topics, people engage 3 minutes and then you should shift gears into something else. Now, you can do it when you talk about the same topic. Let's say, for instance, I'm talking about diabetes. I'm going to go 3 minutes talking about the epidemic of diabetes, what's causing diabetes. And then you create a transition with that and say, but now, let me talk about the cure. Or we're not supposed to say that, you know, but whatever it is what is the solution to diabetes? Here it is. So really, people have about a 3-minute attention span. So if you are doing these PowerPoint slides, again, I wouldn't do too many slides. What you're getting that, you know, I'd have a picture of a before and after, maybe X-ray if you do it like that, or a before and after testimonial of somebody. Hey, here was Mona. This is how sick she was. Here is her now. And when people, that's why. I mean, if you look at infomercials today, go and watch. I was watching an Insanity infomercial the other day. What percentage of that is him actually talking. Sean T. Watch it next time. 10%. 90% of it is people testimonials. Oh, I've got these ripped abs, I'm pulling up my shirt, you know, like, I mean, this is what, but it's testimonials. That's the most powerful thing you can do in your doctor's report. And don't oversaturate it, but go through 3 really powerful different testimonials and, you know, before and after pictures if you can, because people can really, oh, that's a real, you know, that's a real person. This isn't like a story, because I see the picture of the person, and that helps too. Yeah, if you're going to do an outline of a report of findings, this is just what I did, so you don't have to do it like this, but I really did my story. I have an amazing story that I tell about my mom and how sick she was and how she got healthy, but maybe you have a personal story, anything, how you got into chiropractic, but something that's powerful that people get to know you. Why are you on mission? I start my radio show with the same thing. I'm not going to start giving you advice before I tell you that, you know, it's kind of that saying that people don't care what you know until they know how much you care, but kind of letting people know, this is my heart, this is my mission, that's how you're starting your talk off, and then typically going into, here's the problem today, here is the system that most people live in, this disease care system, and then here's the truth that we're finding about health, here's the solution, here are some examples of success stories with it, and bam, you're done. And so that's kind of the outline that I follow that tended to work pretty well. So, other questions? Yes?
As far as resources go, for blogging and articles and presentations and whatnot, I know you mentioned like Natural News. I used to subscribe to them, I still do, and I follow a lot of their articles, and then some of them are way, you know,
I know.
left wing.
It didn't get back, it's been the past year.
Yeah.
But you know the reason he does that, there can only be one reason.
What's that?
People are reading them,
Right.
and he's getting more hits than
Well,
anything
now,
else.
I used to reblog some of their articles, and I used to consider them a trusted source, but now because of the direction they've gone in, I don't necessarily want to promote what I can say.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, you know, is there a rule of thumb that you follow for resources?
You know what, that's a great question. And by the way, we're working on this in my site now. We did it really good at times, and then, like my site, I write some of the articles,
Yeah.
but other people write some of the articles too. I typically edit the articles. We went through a period of time where I was traveling so much that I had my someone else editing, and it just ended up being bad because people aren't you, and if people don't have a medical or a chiropractic, that sort of background, they just don't get it as much as you think. You've heard me for the past 3 years, you know everything to say, but you still. So anyways, just to say this, I interviewed somebody from Mercola.com, their editor, and this guy's amazing. I mean, you know, Mercola puts his things down, but this guy gets all these articles, edits them, and they're almost all the same. I mean, he's really good. And I asked him, I said, how is it that you guys are spreading so fast? One of it was their strategic partnerships, them putting out the articles. But he said the reason why we've got more compliments on our articles than anything is every article starts off with a source and a reference of where did this article come from, every single one. And so what I recommend is you want to create your article around what is your proof, you know? And so, like when I do, like I just wrote an article, like I did see if I can jump to one of these here. Like I did one on Disney and GMO foods, you know, and maybe this will work. But you know, I would talk about, I think I did this in here. Well, I put links in here. Well, so I put like in 2011 review published in Environmental Science of Europe, 19 studies of mammals fed GMO soybeans and corn were evaluated. The 90-day-long trial indicated liver and kidney problems as a result of the GMO foods. Kidneys were disrupted by 43.5% liver. But like you want to have, people don't want your opinion. Like you can give your opinion, but you need to have a credible research source in the article. And with that article, it actually, just critiquing myself, you're better off putting it earlier in the article if you can. Now that one, I follow a form of communication called me, we, God, you, us. It's a guy named, well, he's in Atlanta here, Andy Stanley, if you've ever heard of him. He wrote a book. If you guys want to read a good communication book, it's called Communicating for a Change. And he talks about whenever you're speaking or writing, the first thing you do, you talk about me in terms of, this is who I am, this is my mission, this is my background, and then you go into me and you connect to that person. So for me, when I wrote that article, I followed that outline because I said, I grew up loving Disney World. We went as a kid, my mom, I literally said in the article, my mom wears Winnie the Pooh t-shirts all the time. You know, and I said, you know, do you love Disney? You know, I connected to them because a lot of people know Disney, like, oh, I love those characters. And I said, but here's the problem. Bam.